Hi guys, it's your boy Manu and welcome to another episode of Sweet Money. As for myself, I'm a CPA from Canada and the US. I've got my own little cool accounting firm, better known as Shandel CPA. And every month I drop a video. It's called Chilling with Your Favorite Accountant. And basically what I do is I just go through therapy. For me, this is a therapy session. I talk about whatever's on my mind. You guys are my therapists. And I just hope you drop your comments and likes and smash that subscribe button for me. And it will just be very therapeutic. Simple as that. So let's get started. Just before we begin, I want to thank those individuals who reached out to me the past month or so saying, hey, Manu, how come you haven't dropped the video in a while? I took 2.5 weeks off for Christmas because it was the holidays, needed a break. And then as soon as Christmas ended, I fell ill and I was off for another 2.5 weeks. So I've only dropped 2 videos in over a month. And for you guys to actually reach out and say, hey, where's your videos? We want to see one. It meant the world to me. So for those individuals, thank you so much. It really, really meant a lot. So without further ado, let's get started. There's a lot of negativity in the world, but I don't want to delve into it because, like I said, it's therapy. I just want to feel good by the end of this video. So I refuse to talk about the fires in LA or the fact that Canadians can't find family doctors or the fact that there's a genocide of Hindus happening right now in Bangladesh and the media refuses to talk about, or the fact that in Germany, there's a winter festival carnival that takes place. It's been taking place for decades and decades. And for whatever reason now, they can't call it a Christmas festival, but they've got to call it the Winter Festivals. That has become the official name, which kind of bothers me. I don't want to talk about that either. And I also don't want to talk about the fact that my boy Jag is going to get his full pension. You and I, us Canadians, are going to be paying for his pension. I'm not sure what he's done or what he's accomplished. However, it just bothers me and I'm not going to talk about it. Let's just leave it at that. So let's focus in on some positive things. In 2024, so dealing with the positives, in 2024, the TSX went up 18% year over year, which is fantastic news. And since January 13th of 2025, the TSX has once again been on a steady incline, which again is great news. I do have some clients who unfortunately do not believe in the stock market. I don't know why that is. They can't seem to articulate the reason, but unfortunately they missed out on a fantastic year. And if your portfolio was balanced between, fixed assets such as properties and the stock market, the fixed assets, the properties have just struggled. If anything, their values have been flat, best case scenario. Whereas here you had 18%, which would have offset the two, right? It would have been a nice steady gain of roughly 9% had you with the weighted average of 50-50. But unfortunately, a lot of people have missed out on this. Since January 13th, the TSX has been on a steady incline. And for those of you, I actually made a video on the difference between a sheep and a wolf when it comes to investing. And one of the things that I said was that a wolf is always on the lookout for opportunities. And a lot of people missed out on the news that TD was caught in a money laundering fraud. Like in the US, they were laundering cash and it was illegal. And the CEO was let go and a whole bunch of things happened. It was big headlines. And a lot of people were oblivious to this fact. And because of it, the TD stocks dropped. Now, a sheep would have panicked and sold their shares, whereas a wolf would have gone in and said, hold on, this is a golden opportunity. I'm going to buy more shares. And that's the difference in the mentality. And I actually have some stats I want to share with you. Let me just grab my laptop here. I actually have some stats I want to share with you because I don't want to misquote anything. And by the way, as a CPA, I cannot give stock advice, but this is historical news. This has already happened. I'm just rhyming off some facts. So that's all I'm doing. I'm not saying go out and buy TD. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just telling you what's happened in the past. So on December 6, 2024, TD closed at $73.51 a share. On January 20th, it closed at $82.15. That's an increase of 11.8% in 45 days. That is an insane return for a 45-day period. If you get 11.8% over 1 year, that's considered fantastic performance. Like that is above market. So for them to do this in 45 days, again, the wolves made off like bandits and the sheep sold probably at $73 and lost a bunch of money, right? So that's the difference. So hopefully you can take this experience to heart and, look out for those future opportunities. And these opportunities, these nuggets do fall in our pocket 2 or 3 times a year. It does happen. You just have to keep your eyes and ears open. And by the way, there is actually a new rule, and the rule is quite interesting. If your rental property is not compliant, meaning it's not been registered, the business expenses for the property will not be admissible. So the accountant will not ask you, hey, is your rental property compliant? It's not our job. You will give us the expenses. We will put the expenses in. We'll put in your revenue. We'll do the whole calculation for you, fill out your return. And the CRA will come back and say, hey, by the way, prove to us that your property is compliant. And if you cannot prove it, they will wash away, deduct all your expenses, get rid of them, which will increase your tax bill. And on top of that, they'll add penalties and interest. So you have been forewarned. Therefore, please make sure that you are compliant. Now, you might be wondering, Manu, how is this good news? You said you're going to only give us good news. It's good news because you now know. Not knowing would have been a lot worse. You can now take some action and avoid these penalties and interest and so on and so forth. Okay. So I have actually helped you. You should be happy. I've got to be completely transparent here and frank. I am struggling to find positive things to say. I sometimes I pause for a couple of minutes and think, what can I say that's positive? And it's been really, really challenging. So let's just keep going along and hopefully we'll find something. So let's just talk about the HST, or the tax holiday as they called it. I actually made a video on it. I thought it was a disaster. And now that we're more than halfway through, we're now at the end of December, and we're now at the end of January, and this program will end on February 14th, which means we have 2 weeks left. I actually did some rough math for kicks, and I've saved about maybe $80 in taxes. And the reason why I ended up saving $80 is because I had a little get together at my house during the Christmas holidays, and we ordered in some food. And that's really where the savings came from. It was $80. From now until February, if I'm lucky, I might save another $5, $6, if that. But really, that was it. So at the end of the day, I do not believe for a second, and if anyone owns a restaurant or if they're part of the Uber Eats program or if they sell toys, please let us know in the comment section. Did this program increase your sales? Did you see a shift in purchasing habits? Did you sell more Christmas trees? I mean, did the sale of alcohol go up? And if it did with alcohol, I'm not even sure if that's good news, quite frankly. It just means more people were getting drunk, and I don't know if that's a good thing, or maybe it is, depending on your situation. I really don't know. And I'm also curious to know, you as a consumer, if you do some rough math in your head, how much do you think you saved? Right? Was the whole hoopla worth it for you? I mean, how many more cupcakes and chips did you eat? Right? Did you go out there and buy extra clothes for your children because you would have saved the 5% GST on it? And I left it in the comment section, like, how much of an impact did it really have on you? And I guess it was a little parting gift from my boy JT, right? I saved $80. You may have saved more. I don't know. Maybe your party was bigger than mine. or maybe you only saved $5-10 because you don't eat a lot of cupcakes and chips, right? Which is a good thing. So I'm just I'm just happy that, and I guess it's good news. It's good news that PC is now coming into power, and the tide will turn, right? Things will get better. But I want all Canadians to know this, that things are so bad right now. A lot of people have been losing their jobs. I've had a few clients reach out to me saying, hey, their spouse have lost their jobs, or their child, or whomever. And, if through my contacts, if I know anyone who can help them. So I've been reaching out to some recruiters that I know, and they're saying the same thing. They say, Manu, we have tons of resumes, but there just aren't that many jobs out there. I mean, these recruiters are struggling themselves, right? The market is down. It's also that time of the year because hiring is cyclical. So January, February, traditionally, well, December, January, February traditionally are slow hiring periods. And then once the budgets are done for these companies, these larger companies, they then know how much headcount they can add to their staff. And then based off of that, they go out there and they start hiring people. So in March, I hope these people will find a job, and that's a positive because March is now only about a month away. And then also the second thing that happens, and me and my colleagues used to do this, is we would collect our bonus money back when I was in the corporate world. We collect our bonus money, and then we go look for another job, and that paid us more, right? So a lot of these people who earn bonuses, they just kind of wait for that check to come in before they bounce. So that will also open up seats for other people to come in. So guys, 2 months of hardship has gone by. There's about a month left, so we're almost there, which I guess is also good news, right? And as I was saying, with PC now coming into power, we'll have a government that promotes capitalism, right, as opposed to socialism. And socialism is the baby brother of communism, because you are in socialism, you are dependent on the government, whereas in capitalism, it is a free market, and we go out there and we create our own jobs. Like these gimmicky tax holidays aren't handed out like candy, like in the US, or if you look at China or India, these other powerful countries, they don't do these gimmicky things, right? They just don't. Europe is now stopping these programs as well because they've realized it just doesn't work. It creates a lazy society that's expecting handouts. Like you take, $500 from someone through carbon tax, and then you send them like a $75 check. Now those people who don't know that they paid $500 for carbon tax are just happy by the fact that they got $75 as a direct deposit. So that's what they're fixated on. And again, it creates this socialist hand-me-down, I deserve money from the government type of mindset, which does no good to the young generation or any good for the nation as an aggregate. So all this will stop. And I've challenged many socialists to a very simple question. Not even a challenge. It's actually a question. And it's a very simple question. And the question is, in the past 100 years, which is a massive time frame, in the past 100 years, take any country, which means there's no bias at all. Any country past 100 years that has prospered in a socialist regime or under a socialist government. And I challenge my viewers as well, just as a school project, have your children go do this project, right? And it'd be very educational for them. And I wish they were teaching this type of stuff at school, is go out there and find one nation whose KPIs have improved during a socialist government regime, right? Meaning the real estate sector did well. The stock markets did well. Unemployment was low. Crime was low, right? So look at these variables that have severe impact on a nation and see how did they do, right? And you won't find any. And it's just facts. And this is an open challenge. Please prove me wrong, right? 100 years, any country in the world. There's this there's been a lot of headlines, and hopefully no one's missed this because it's been everywhere in the news and social media about these tariffs that the US will impose on Canada. And it's I mean, the Americans are doing what's good for them, but what's been really funny and quite humorous is the way the Canadian government has reacted. I would expect a leader, a true leader, instead of name calling and belittling the US, and the Americans don't like us already a whole lot because the government that we've had in power, instead of trying to build bridges, they're actually making it worse. That bridge is being further hammered on and chipped away, right? So it's quite funny, and I wish what under leadership, under proper leadership, what they should have done is they should have gone out and looked for different markets, right? When Europe put sanctions on Russian oil, it was just a farce. It was just for the sake of making headlines. And really, what happened? Russia sold oil to India, and then India sold it to Europe. And it was a big open secret because India doesn't produce any oil. So the Europeans knew this oil that we're buying from India comes from Russia. So, the sanction really meant nothing. And why can't the Canadian government do the same thing? Why can't we go out and look for new markets, right? Instead of name calling, why can't we do what leaders are supposed to do? And that's find different opportunities, and take advantage of the situation. Because you can't be dependent on one country for the rest of your existence. It's just so, it's such small thinking, right? And every country should want to grow. And the best way to grow is to lower your taxes, attract investments. And as you attract investments, your dollar strengthens, which gives you bargaining power to go out there and wheel and deal with other countries. But it just seems like a very foreign concept. But hopefully, PC will do what they say they're going to do. They say all the right things, but let's just hope they put their words into action, right? And this is good news too. So I've actually given you 3 or 4 pieces of good news, and it's been really hard. So I was watching this. So before I go, one last thing I want to touch upon is there's this interview between Jordan Peterson and Tim Robbins. And Tim Robbins made this very interesting statement. He said, when September 11, 2001 occurred, when the planes flew into the building, everyone knows where they were, whether they were in Canada or the US. So, I guess people on the West Coast were sleeping, but on the East Coast, everyone knows where they were because it happened around 9:30. And I remember exactly where I was. It's crystal clear in my head. But what happened the day before or the day after is no longer in our memory bank, right? Unless you were directly affected, it's just not there anymore. And he said the reason for that, he says, you were learning something, but as you were learning as to what's happening, there was a shock element to it. And that really got me thinking. He says, when there's a shock element to your learning, you don't forget that lesson or that moment or experience stays with you. And that really got me thinking is I genuinely want to teach you guys and leave an impact on as to how you view money and how you manage your money and how you plan for your future, right? And I was thinking, me standing here in front of a camera, how could I bring that shock value, right? I can't go out there and show car crashes or some extreme sports or anything like that would shock you, right? I just can't. And I'm not sure how to bring that shock value, but it gave me a sense of direction that moving forward, I have to start bringing in some shock value. So I will try and do that. It's a goal of mine because I really want to make these videos educational and entertaining, and most importantly, something that you will apply to your life. So that is my goal. And I want to say one last thing. Yes, I do criticize my government. It's my right as a Canadian, as a proud Canadian, it's my right, and I will exercise this right. But it comes out of concern, out of care. I really, we can be the best nation in the world, and I want us to become that. We have all the potential. We have resources. We have water. We have gold. We have oil. We have land. We have good schools. We have what we need to succeed, but we just don't have good governance. And once that comes into place, hopefully we'll be there with the best of them. And I just want to say, and the reason why I say this, because I don't want you to use the government that we've had the past 10 years. Do not use them as a crutch to justify why you're not getting ahead in life. Okay? You cannot use the government's incompetence as a crutch to justify why you're not getting ahead. Because people have gotten ahead the past 10 years, right? They have found a way. There's no reason why you can't find a way. And like I said earlier, how the Canadian government has to go out and find new markets to sell to and invest with. You have to look for different alternatives of how you can grow your portfolio and your wealth and develop passive income and go into beast mode and, really become a go-getter. Okay? So please, whatever's happening around you, think of it as news, think of it as noise, and it should not deter you from achieving your goals. Okay. And I know all the things I've said that were positive or quasi-positive, it was mixed in with a bit of negativity. And I really had no choice. I had to be really honest with you guys, right? I don't want to be this fluffy guy who just, bends the truth or doesn't give the full picture. I don't want to be that guy. But what I'm saying right now is 100%. I'm being honest. I'm being, as sincere as possible. That given, regardless of the situation that you're in, you can still succeed. I don't care what the economy is like, what the government's like, what the Canadian dollar is like, what the housing market's like, what the unemployment rate is like. It's irrelevant. Okay. You have to go into beast mode and you have to figure out a way. And remember, it all starts with a simple conversation.